When you're trying to build the interior of your van, it can be really difficult to find true verticals and horizontals and all the rest of it. I think the most important thing to remember is it's a vehicle, so it's never quite flat, and they're old vehicles and they've moved over time, and what you think's a straight wall is actually a curved wall. So what mainly matters is just how it looks, but it is quite useful to know where your straight edges are. And so what I'm doing is I've got a really cheap and cheerful leveling laser line mounted on a tripod, and what this means I can do, if I turn it on, there we go, is it projects a nice cross onto the side of the van. And imagine where my work surface is going to touch the van. The red line is showing true horizontal, and you can see that the van is lower at the back. Now I can obviously jack the van, get it to line up with the line, or I can just do it all by eye. What's interesting for me more than that is if I look at that line between the two trim panels, and we've already established the back of the van is probably a little low, and you see that's even more emphasised by that red line. If I now compare that same thing, so I'm assuming the back of the van is low, with the door, that suggests that the edge of the door is actually pretty good. That's, I don't know if you can see it on film. I think you can. Yeah, it's not far off. Then let's go for a true vertical. So when they were designing the vehicle, this is the back edge of the driver's door. That should be vertical, that's seal. So let's just spin our laser on. And what have we actually got? It's easier if I put it on the green. And you see, that says the back of the van is low. So there's all sorts of different versions of what's vertical and what's straight on this van. It's mainly important, but it looks right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a lath across here at an even space from the sill, and align everything vertically, or sorry, at 90 degrees from the work surface. So the side of the cupboard will come down 90 degrees from underneath of the work surface. That's the way I'm going to go for it. So we've made a false worktop. This isn't the worktop we're going to use. It's just to aid with layout. It's all chicken and the egg. You can't decide on anything until you've decided on something. And we put our sink unit, cooker unit upside down. What I'm going to do is mark round this, mark inside that line, cut out a hole, flip it, drop it in, and then use that as something to work around and build the layout of the rest of the unit and the kitchen. That's the plan. And then there it can get a bit thicker. So in this area I can only go 10 mil. Right, I think that's everything. So you see we've got the fridge underneath. I don't know if you can see on there, Joe. And one of the things you've got to be aware of with these is your bowl has obviously got to fit above whatever you've got below it, but you've also got to allow for the trap or U-bend or elbow, wherever you've got on your drain, that's got to fit above the fridge as well. So there's a lot to consider to get it right. And then when we get back past this edge of the, this is going to be the cooker, get it right way up. What we're hoping to do is put a bit of a curve on, like that. And then either have a lid going straight off on a slightly narrower section, or do a bit of an S, and then have a lid that pops up for the back section. we'll see how it works out. Yeah, there's our dummy worktop. There we are. Now, it's bound not to fit. There'll be some fettling. So we'll go. Yeah. I only got it right first time. What were the odds of that? Hinge mechanism is just touching the back, but only just. Look at that. Looks a treat. Please. Looks a treat. Pleased? Pleased? It really feels like you can start to organise how it's going to look and feel now. So now we've got the beginnings of our framework going in. And this area is going to have a shelf on here. Access will be through the cupboard door here into this area for the gas bottle, and the area above it will be used to store, and there's a shelf in there obviously, 2 water containers, one with a solid cap storage, the other one with a pump into it. Done a bit more playing around this afternoon. We got another dummy worktop to see how that's going to work out. That's obviously the narrower section. That will have a hinge. We've got a shelf that's not supported at the back at the moment, but that's going to be for the water carriers. You could have one up high, one low, or both on there. Not quite decided. The shelf is something you can lift out from the top, so it gives you better access to play around electrical and gas wise. And we're going to blank off this area of the cupboard, but leave the bottom open so that you can go in through this door to get the gas bottle out. So we've got Olive's floor covering, which is felt back vinyl, but we've brought it in the house to mark out because we haven't got enough clean space to do in it. So we're just marking out a piece, and we're leaving an inch wider than we really need, but not wanting to leave ourselves too much to trim, but it's so awkward inside the van. This is going to go underneath the seat, and we're going to leave ourselves enough to cover the kickboard if we want to underneath the front edge of the seat. And we measured it 3 times. Now we've got to cut it. Eventually you do have to cut it. Leaving a bit on, obviously good. Getting a bit short, very bad. this side we're going to mark up. This is the side that's going to go in the van, yeah?
Yeah. Cupboard.
We'll go find out if it fits now. So far, so good. It's a right game wrangling a big bit of vinyl into a van there. So with the flooring down and the dummy cupboard tops in place, we can start to see the layout and how it's working. The seat base is installed. We will be retrimming the cushions, by the way. We turned attention to the automatic gear selector, which was missing its little gaiter that covers up the slot in the top of the selector panel. So we found that's pretty much unobtainable at the moment. So basically took a real leather belt, punched a hole the right size in it, and made a very serviceable gaiter for now. Hole's a little bit snug. Which is probably no bad thing. We haven't mounted this unit on the floor properly, but that is going to suffice for now. Looks pretty good, don't you think? When we bought the T2, the previous owner explained that the reason there was a hatch in the rear deck was that a local garage had repaired the fuel sender, and it was an awful lot easier to cut a hole, put a hatch on it, than it was to remove the fuel tank to do it, which is absolute sense. You've got to take the engine out to do that. But on the way home we noted that the fuel sender was still pretty screwy, basically pulsing up and down. It's well damped, but something's not right. So I took the hatch off to have a little investigation. These are not the best pictures, unfortunately, but bad lighting and all the rest of it. And what we discovered is it's clearly a replacement fuel sender, but the earth terminal onto the sender was so loose you could literally just knock it off. It's not gripping the terminal at all. So, you know, pretty shameful that somebody's gone to all the trouble of cutting a hole, changing the sender through there, sealing it up, and hadn't checked that the terminal was well crimped on. That was very, very poor. So not good value for money. I would suggest that little trip to the garage. Anyway, quick fix with a pair of pliers to crimp that up, and we're back away. We also needed to take the cover off the hatch in order to get behind the surface of the deck. The brackets on the rock and roll seat need bolting down to that deck, and I didn't want to drill blindly into it knowing that the fuel tank was underneath there. So that was another reason this had to come off. So we'll leave Olive there for now, and next time you join us we'll probably be working on the cupboards themselves. Hope you're enjoying this series. If so, please click on the subscribe button, and if you click the bell icon as well, then you get notifications when the next video comes out. And appreciate it if you comment and share. See you soon, guys.